Scottish indie pop band Camera Obscura are from Glasgow. They were formed in 1996 and they're still going. They had about a 3 year break somewhere in the early 2000s. They are led by singer and primary songwriter Tracy Ann Campbell. Uh, other than her, they've had some mild changes of staff. I believe their bassist has been with them all the way through as well. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the third studio album by Camera Obscura, and it's my first encounter with them. And I think in my head I had them confused with Aztec Camera, so I didn't know really anything about them at all. So I have seen this described as being twee pop, and I'm going to dig into that a bit because I can think I can get that. It's got a kind of studied sweetness and naivety, and it's got a quite a kind of tuney pop feel to it. The word twee in kind of English slang kind of means cutesy, a little bit kind of overly cutesy sometimes. It's usually used as a bit of a negative word. I don't know if it has similar connotations to the Japanese word kawaii. I think it might do. I would say that something like Hello Kitty is twee because it's just kind of pushing that slightly over cuteness to it. So musically, this is, I guess, it's a reasonable description, but there's a little bit more going on here. Let me dig into that. So musically, it's quite old time kind of poppy. It's got real sounding instruments. So I'm comparing that to kind of pop since kind of the mid '90s. Has very much been based on electronic, I would say, rather than acoustic instruments. This doesn't sound like Kylie Minogue or Madonna or Michael Jackson or anybody like that, or anybody come since then, really. But there have been things. I'm going to reference Sixpence None the Richer in there, so that there have been kind of more acoustic and more kind of real instrumenty kind of pop stuff. But it feels a bit kind of older school in that way. I said acoustic guitar. It kind of feels like it's central, although it's not kind of big in the mix. At times, it's almost folky. Uses quite a lot of kind of real instruments and melodic instruments in here. Everything has kind of this got this kind of slightly faded, washy production. It's only slightly, but it's certainly there, and it gives it a kind of airy feel, and it's achieved, I think, primarily with echo and reverb, but there are other things going on here as well. This is quite a when was this done? 2006. So there seems to have been a thing for this kind of production. I don't know if it's still around, but certainly in the 2000s ish. I've certainly come across quite a few albums that have this kind of slightly muted feel to it, a bit like you've got a watercolor painting and then you've got to brush with some water and wash over it so that you just make everything a bit more washed out. It's not, as extreme as that, but there's a little bit. Um, so I'm gonna I remember her name. I'm gonna just check that. Tracy Ann Campbell. She's got quite a sweet voice, so again, maybe that feeds into this idea of twee pop. It reminds me of, so I did reference Sixpence None the Richer before, but Dolores Riordan of the Cranberries as well. But there's several other voices have been around that have this kind of slight lilt to it and the sweetness to it. I quite like her voice, I have to say. It's nice to listen to. Against all this background of the sweetness of the music and her voice, the actual content is a bit more bitter. So the songs are generally about things like heartbreak and boredom and loneliness, escapism, these kind of things. And I guess this may be a deliberate juxtaposition that you kind of got this kind of sweet background, but what you're singing about isn't quite so sweet. So maybe that's deliberate. It's okay. I'm not a huge fan of this thing that I'm talking about. This kind of muted uh, production, but it's all right. It's okay. It's quite unassuming as a result. So I mildly enjoyed it. I sometimes felt that the production, not just as well as the mutedness of it, but I felt it was a bit off or awkward. Sometimes there were some bits, melodic instruments that were just a little bit too loud in the mix. Some were fighting for it with other things and stuff like that. So, but maybe this is all deliberate and this is the effect that we're going for. So that's what I think. As always, I'd love to know what you think. So please do tell me by leaving me a comment. And that's it from me for now.